Hello ladies, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to Homemakers Radio. I hope you get a lot done while you listen today. But before you go, I'd like to share my teacup with you. It's just an antique that I got on a trip we took to another state. We like to go the old highways, which are very well kept, and then we get to go through the towns, the old towns that have the little shops in them, and so I always try to get a teacup whenever we travel. I am broadcasting from the manse, so welcome to the manse. And I'm also in captivity, which many of you are too. I'm finding some great advantages in it, and we'll discuss some of those later. I challenged my listeners some time ago to come out of the other side of this, improved, to finish something. If you got projects that you haven't ever got around to finishing and they've been sitting there for quite a few years, to finish something, to clean up something, to learn something, to improve something, so that you come out stronger and better and smarter and maybe younger, and to come out of it strong and healthy too, and to be prepared to be used of God. Prepare yourself to be used of God on the other side of this captivity, and see what happens. I have already heard from several people who said they've been asked to teach children from their homes or go over to their homes and teach them how to read and how to write. And you can get some pretty good material for that, and I can show you that later on. I'm going to look through some of my old materials and see what the names of the companies were that were the most effective. Now we start out with our homemaking day by taking care of our appearance. I call it preparation, because it involves more than just your appearance. And one of the things that I've been encouraging you all to do is to exercise and include that 5-minute exercise. Just find a 5-minute exercise online after you have gotten bathed and got dressed, fixed your hair and face. Do the exercises, because they will warm you up and your skin will glow and you'll be healthier. And one thing that I discovered about these exercises, something that I didn't expect, you know, when we exercise we just think, oh, we're going to lose weight or we're going to get thin. Well, that didn't actually happen to me, but there were some changes that I'd like to share with you that might benefit you too if you want to try this. And that was my skin improved. I've always had a troubled skin, had a bit of rosacea over the years and other things, and at my age I was getting a little bit fed up with it and tired of trying the newest product on it, but the exercises have helped, because of course it naturally, and my hair, you know, I had thin spots, and I noticed that my hair was getting a little bit healthier and a little bit thicker. It might not work for everyone, because not everyone is the same, but these are some advantages. And of course it stands to reason, if you're exercising and you're breathing a little bit different, you're getting more oxygen into your blood and your body, and so naturally things will improve. So I would like you to include your 5-minute exercise in the preparation before you start anything. If you put it off, you will probably never do it. So include that in part of your preparation. You know which one that I use, and just type in 5-minute chair exercises, or 5-minute standing exercises, or 5-minute stretch exercises, or what are they called? The one warm-up exercise, 5-minute warm-up exercise. Just type that in on YouTube and see if you can get one that you'll be happy with. Now I also live out in the country, and I live in the manse, and I'm reminded of Edward Ferrar's comment in Sense and Sensibility in the 1995 film. He said, "Country living is my ideal. A small church where I might do some good, keep chickens, give very short sermons." And I thought you might appreciate that, because Mr. S is a country preacher, and we live out in the country. And up until recently, we did have chickens, and he is preaching shorter sermons now. So now in the life that I live and many of you live, you probably have a small house that you have to look after and that's used for many different things. And I noticed, I was just trying to analyze my living room and dining room the other day and discovered that these are not just places. The living room is not just, they call it the lounge and they call it the, the front room and they call it many other things. We've always called it the living room. But it was generally supposed that the family would come and sit in here. And we have noticed we are so busy, we just don't have time to come and sit in here. But it is used for many different things. I get out my folding table and cut out fabric that I want to sew. And I also do some of my painting lessons in here. Also do, I could bring a box of papers that I have to sort or crafts and things I have to sort. I'll bring it in here because even though I have a small room that's set aside for studying and another one that's set aside as an office and another one that's set aside for sewing, I prefer to be out in the bigger world where I can look out the front window and see anyone who might drive up or drive by and just kind of hear what's going on in the central room here. So most people don't like to be put back in a tiny little dorm room in their house. I've noticed that. And so these little cottage houses are used in many different ways. And so they're always, every room is used. And so we need to have some kind of a schedule for the home, for homemaking, some kind of a list of all the things that you need to do. So the first thing, of course, is to go through and just declutter everything. Just make it look like it was a living room. Make it look like it was a dining room. Make your kitchen look like it is a kitchen, and take all the extra stuff out and put things away. And that is one of the challenges that I have had since captivity. And we out here in Oregon, we are experiencing some strange things. Our governor has told, there was a rumor going around today that she had sent out an edict that masks would be permanent in our state. And of course, I am not going to wear a mask, and there's been no study done on whether they are effective or even healthy, and I've had too many friends that have gotten sick just, I think, after wearing a mask, trying to protect themselves from illness, wearing a mask, and then they got sick from it. Many of them have had rashes and types of things in their mouth and just all kinds of things, and you can't be sure of anything that you put on your face. We weren't designed to go around wearing something on our face. Maybe, to protect ourselves from a dust storm, might put something over, a veil over our face to protect our eyes. And so really, we have to follow what's best for us and for our bodies, and not what some of these unlearned people are trying to foist upon us. Our governor is neither a physician nor a scientist, and neither are any of her helpers that I can tell, or her advisors. So I am not sure how people are going to take this, but it's not going to do any good if people don't wake up to what the problems are of wearing a mask. They're not really very good for you at all. And I think one of the most interesting things I saw last summer was that someone was walking around without a mask, and they had tanned so well around the mask that the part that went around the mouth and nose was a lot more pale. And I thought that was interesting. So we need to realize we are created by God to breathe and to live and to move and not be restricted by having something over our mouths. If you were a child, did anyone ever clamp their hand over your mouth? Wasn't that weird? And you can't get away and you can't breathe, and when you're little, maybe you let out a big scream and somebody clamped their hand over the mouth. Well, in a way, that's the way masks are. And some of the people that I know are complaining that they can't hear anyone very distinctly with these masks on. They go shopping and then they can't understand, and they can't get the product they want because they can't understand anybody because of the mask. So this nonsense has got to stop. And if it were a real emergency, you would see a lot more problems with it, uh, with not wearing a mask, which I don't think is a problem right now. But I just wanted to update you a little bit on the challenge that we are having with our politicians here, and how sad it is, such a beautiful state, and many people leaving and going elsewhere to freer places that are more, where they feel more liberty. And it's so sad, you know, such a pretty country, and we need people to, Christians especially, to stay. So, but one of the advantages of captivity is you don't have to do that. You don't have to wear a mask. You don't have to stand on a line. You don't have to walk one way down a hall and another way to come back. It's silly. And you don't have to do that at home. So far, no one has invaded our homes. Let's use them to their greatest potential while we can. Let's learn as much as we can. Let's improve them as much as we can. They say that the ladies, they say that the industry of learning to cook online on Zoom from different places. I know Victoria Magazine and Tea Time Magazine has a cooking show that you can join, and they tell you what to get, and you cook while they teach. And I think that's wonderful, but these things are just full up. So use your home to the greatest potential you possibly can right now, and get the most out of it, because it is the most free place right now anywhere, is your own home. But one of the advantages of captivity is reduced social stress. You don't have to be around people you don't want to be. You don't have to be pressured to perform or speak in a certain way. And there's reduced chemical stress too. You come home sometimes from all the errands you have to do, and you might sense that you don't feel very good, or you've been around too many chemicals. And also reduced noise. That was my big complaint, was the noisic. You know, it performs as music, and it pretends to be music, but it's just noisic, and it comes out of the speakers when you're in the stores, when you're in any public place. Well, look, we don't have to have that anymore. I must say, I think that our minds are going to clear up a lot better without it, and we can sing our own song, can't we? I always wondered why people didn't just plug in their earphones and listen to their own music on their cell phones when they're walking around the grocery store, instead of listening to all the other things. And I think it's really important at home to get your work done so that you can do something else. And to make a list is a very helpful thing, and to follow that list. I love clicking it off. And if you have children and you're homeschooling, they can make a list too of what needs to be done in their school or in their chores, and they can they can check it off, and they enjoy that. And some people respond better to that. They just enjoy having a master list that tells them what to do, and they can check it off. Other people, not so much. But just going, sometimes when I get a little bit turned around and I'm not focusing as well, a list is very helpful, because if I'm not as motivated, I can go to the list and then do the next thing that's on it. And one of the biggest challenges is to do whatever you need to do, even if you don't feel like it, and even if you're not in the mood. We're such mood creatures, aren't we? And we think, oh, I just feel like making apple pie today. But and we can get distracted too. Some of these moods are very good for us. They give us good signals, and the apples are in season. We need to follow them. But otherwise, a list can help you if you're getting distracted. There are some things at home that you can do to improve life at home. This might be quite a short video today, but I hope that you can get something done at least. I'm changing over to Rumble, and I haven't quite figured out how to add the continuous play on Rumble, but I'm going to research that really soon and get that over on my sidebar so that you can go on to the next video, the previous video. And that is circumstances of life, and the circumstances of the state of the world, and of the media, and of just all the restrictions that are going on and the, infringing on our rights are going on, if they don't change, it can be quite frustrating thinking about it all the time. But I think one of the best solutions, if you can't change the world and the world won't change, is you can change some things in your life. You can change yourself. You can add things. You can add things to your learning that you didn't know before. You can read more and you can learn more. You can acquire new skills. And I mentioned a couple of things that I've been doing online. At first, when this first started, I just booked up a bunch of classes online, and then I couldn't get my dishes done and couldn't get my laundry done because it was just too much. And it was just as bad as going out all the time. So I limited it to two, and one was the exercises and the other was the art. And so those are the two that I've enjoyed the most. But you can change things by adding things to your life that maybe you've always wanted to do, or just try something. And I have a letter I'd like to read to you today. Excuse me, I didn't quite bring it to the forefront here. I will read it to you. Okay, this is from my friend Sue Ann. Now, what a lovely name, huh? Sue Ann. Oh, I just love it. And she's a little older than me, but I had sent her my newsletter in which I had printed the same challenge that I give to you every time I come here. And that is, let's come out on the other side of this stronger, better, and take an art class, take an exercise class, take a cooking class, clean up something, finish something, improve something in our home, improve something in ourselves. And like I was talking to you a minute ago, if the circumstances out there don't change, you can change what's going on in here. So you can add things to your life. You can also subtract things. Subtract some things that have been bothering you for years and years and years, and get that taken care of. I know I have some things that I need to go through, and I want to take away some of the sore spots that need to be painted or just need to look better. And then you can multiply things too, things that really you do like and it's working for you and for your family. You can multiply them. You can do more, and you can divide things up. As I mentioned before, you can divide things that you can, so you can work with them in smaller portions. You can divide chores that need to be done into smaller portions. So I want to read to you her letter, and the back of it says, sent with a prayer. I love that rubber stamp. I haven't seen that. Okay. Dear Lydia, it was nice to get your letter and newsletter. I love getting regular mail, and I am encouraged by your challenge! Exclamation mark. This is something I really need to think about and put into practice. I have been basically wasting much of this time, and there is so much to be done. And then she said, I found an online art class and spent most of last week watching the class, a 30-minute devotional plus a 30-minute instructions. Isn't that lovely? Taught by a lady, Christy Hawkins, the social easel. I might look that up and include the link for you. We painted a jar full of sunshine, sunflowers. I really enjoyed it so much I signed up for her classes to continue. She said, God is our creator and made us in his image, so we should create things. It has been an inspiration doing her classes. It has been too long since I have painted. Also, I found a little writing desk for sale for only $70. John went with me to pick it up, and I have it in the corner of a room. This morning, the sun is pouring in and lighting it up. More inspiration. The joy of the Lord is my strength. I'll write more another day. Yours in Christ, Sue Ann. Isn't that sweet? I'm going to read that to the ladies' class because they all know her. So I thought you might like to hear about that, and I will try to find that lady online and include the link to see her if you would like to check into that. I chose someone who was in my time zone, and so I chose Susan Rios. I always liked her art. Her art was in the Emily Barnes tea books. she did a lot of that art, and she had like the 12 T's of friendship, the 12 T's of Christmas, the 12 T's of celebration, and I have all those books, and I always admired that, so I was so thrilled to find her, and so I will include that for you. Now, another thing that the 5-minute exercises have helped me, I think, I've seen a change in my memory. I can recall things. I was almost shocked. I was so comfortable always forgetting something. It gotten to be such a thing, just so comfortable, always forgot it, that when something came back to me, I was in shock, because these exercises also helped my brain, I think, and helped my memory. So I am able to find things a lot more quickly that I mislaid or laid down, but I'm also being more careful about where I set things. And if I set something somewhere, now if you're elderly, here's what you need to do. When you remove your eyeglasses, when you set down your teacup, you need to say it out loud, because you need to hear your own human voice, and it'll enter your ears, and it will trigger your brain. It will activate your brain. So you need to say, I have set my eyeglasses here on the table, or I'm just going to set my teacup right here temporarily, and I'm going to come back and get it. Right now it's sitting on this little dresser. If you're living alone, now even if there are people around, it wouldn't hurt to say anything. They used to mock us for talking to ourselves, but now I see why people used to do it. It was so that you could hear someone say something, and it would trigger your memory. I really understand that, and they aren't the rantings of an old woman after all. So ladies, I wanted to tell you a little bit more about the mask situation. One of the reasons I changed over to Rumble as far as my videos are going is because when I was uploading any of my videos on YouTube, just recently, within the last couple days, they started including things that I had to click yes or no on. You couldn't click no, you had to click one of them, and automatically you have to click one that says that they will go through your video and find anything that's inappropriate. And of course, if you don't click it, you don't get to publish your video. And also, they could find just about anything. They could hear a word, or it could find a word or something that you said, and maybe you mentioned the name of some politician, and just take it off. So I just really, plus there are more and more things to fill out before you can actually publish your video. So I decided to go ahead and use Rumble. Now, some people are very good at taking the video off of their computer, which mine are all stored on my computer, and putting them directly on their blog, but it didn't work for me. I'm going to try to get some help for that. But going back to the masks, there are some things that we all need to consider. Let's not be dumb about this. No law has been passed. These are just edicts. They last about 10 days, and then the governor does them again, but there's really no law that has been passed. So if no law has been passed, you really can't be arrested. If you are arrested, you can there is a solution to that. They're probably in more trouble than you are if they do. But also, they can't fine you, and they cannot handcuff you and physically put a mask on you. And because the Constitution has not been suspended, and nothing has been changed in our freedom. So we need to realize that. And it's true that some of these stores, which I call CCP stores, and these big box stores, they won't let you in without a mask. And I did hear of somebody who filled up their cart full of things that were perishable, plus a lot of ice cream, a lot of frozen things, and was walking around without a mask, getting ready to check out. And somebody, one of the workers, one of the employees, came up and told her she had to put a mask on or leave. And so she said, well, there's a bunch of stuff in this cart. If you'd like to put it all away for me, I will leave. And apparently they let her go ahead and check out, but they told her she couldn't come back in without a mask. And so these are some things to consider that they cannot do. And until they tell me personally, if they have personal charges, and my name is there, and they're telling me personally, and they have created a law against me, then I probably won't be doing it. In fact, they can't really do that. But these are just some things to consider. But I think that we're too compliant because we're so tolerant, and we thought it was going to be temporary, and people are very easygoing. But this is just gone on too long, and it makes you wonder that there's something else behind it. Maybe they're making money off of it, or something. Who knows what's going on? I'm sure a lot of you know more about it than I do. Now, going back to how God might use you, that's why I say get your house in order, because God might be using you for something. And I told you that one of my grandchildren wanted some extra courses, and I wanted to show you my notebook, because what I've been doing is I have just been writing down any idea, any thought, any subject that I can think of, and writing it in my notebook. I don't have it organized or anything, but at least to get it out of my head and on a page before I forget it. And then daily I'll select a couple of these things and talk about them, and we go on Zoom, and there's a chat, and I will type in the things that I'm saying, and maybe some assignments of how they can learn that. And then on the last day of the week, I get her to tell me what all she's learned and show me her notebook, which is a mini album. It has little pockets in it for words, and she did a lot of words last time, and I was really impressed. She did some definitions of words, and we're studying the senses, and we're studying many other things. Now, if you have real young children at home, of course, you're going to have to concentrate on some other things, but this is for an older child. And one of the subjects, just one of the subjects that we're studying, is home design and home interiors. And I was going through my books and discovered that I had 2 copies of this, Creating a Sensational Home. She used the word sense as for your senses, seeing, smelling, tasting. Sensational Home by Terry Willits, and she wrote this in 1995. And I don't know if she has a website or not, but she has nice end papers. Anyway, she went to it says she earned her bachelor's degree in interior designs from Miami University, and was a professional designer for 15 years, and was the owner of Sensational Homes Incorporated. And so she's written, and she's also written for Southern Living magazine, and she's also freelance drawing and painting. And she has divided it into 5 sections, and that is the 5 senses. So her first one was the eyes. And so when I was teaching my granddaughter this section, so I have 2 of these. So one of these is her textbook, and the other one is the teacher's book, because we had 2. So I can stick notes in my teacher's book. And so I had this for years sitting on a shelf, and I got it at a Christian bookstore years ago, and I thought, oh, well, we read that, And then I didn't realize the wealth that was in here until she asked me to find something to teach her, and I knew that she would be interested in it because her family is in the architecture business. And she's divided it into the 5 senses, and we studied the eyes. And while we were studying the sense of the eyes and what the eyes take in, and it was such a beautiful book too, because she had beautiful art in it as well. I don't know if you can still get it, but just let me find out some of this stuff. Since she's divided it into 5 senses, then when we got to the eyes, we also discussed how to draw. We put a little art in it, how to draw eyes on a face, and one of the things that we learned was if you're trying to draw a face, and she likes to draw, that the space between here, so that the eyes on the picture don't get too far apart or too close together, the space between here is generally the size of an eye. So when she showed me her homework, she showed me a face with the eyes done properly, so that was nice. And one of the things I wanted to read to you out of this, and it's called The Sight and How Important Sight Is in the Home. And a beautiful chapter here on how the eyes and beauty is so appealing to the eyes. So she focuses on beauty in the home, and she has beautiful kitchens, beautiful bathrooms, beautiful bedrooms, beautiful living room, beautiful dining room, and then some tips for pleasing the eye, and talks about how to arrange some things, and how beauty communicates. And she had a little section here on beauty energizes, and how it attracts, and the importance of it. But I thought there was something here very interesting, almost scientific, and it was God allocated 2/3 of the mind's conscious attention and 2/3 of the information stored in the brain to what our eyes view. The eyes are the only sense organs that can, without assistance, overcome great distances. I thought this was interesting. 2/3 of the information stored in the brain are because of what our eyes view. Isn't that interesting? And then the eyes also trigger. They create memory because of what we see is stored in our brain. And then 2/3 of the mind's conscious attention. So when you are listening to someone, or watching something, or looking at something, 2/3 of your mind, your eyes are supplying 2/3 of the information. So I thought that was really interesting. We just studied the health of the eyes, and we read about something called saffron, which is an herb that is supposed to be good for the eyes. One drank in a tea, I guess. I'm not sure. I'm not completely sure about it, but and also how light affects the eye. Different kinds of light affects the eye. So it was a whole lot of things, not just interior decorating, because I would bring in other information that I had, and that's what homeschooling is all about. You don't just get a subject and read it and just learn it like that. You bring in other things. So while we were studying this, and the first part was about sight. Sight, the first sense in the home was sight, and that was the first chapter that she did, and how beauty affects the sight, and how you can express yourself, and the effect of light on the eyes and on people and on their moods. And then she went into color, and she went into focal points and accents and furniture and arrangements and plants, and she went over to kitchens and went through all of those. So that took up a whole chapter, the eye. And so then the next one, that was a big chapter. The next one is fragrance. So there's so much you can do with this, something like this, or maybe you have a book, any kind of a book that you can use and create and build a curriculum out of it. And you can do that with the Bible too. You can take the Bible, and it's just so appropriate for everybody, because it has earth science, nature studies, it has poetry, it has literature, it has history, story of great kings, it has character in it, it has law in it, it has so much in it, and you can make curriculum out of it. So ladies, I don't have very much in my notes today to talk to you about, but I hope that this has been adequate, at least to get something done in your home. And I don't know if you can click continuous play, but go on to the previous entry on my blog, and the previous post will have another video. And I hope to see you more often here, and so I'll talk to you later. God bless. Bye.